Something interesting has been happening on the Republican side of the presidential race. And that interesting thing is that Nikki Haley does appear at the moment to be surging in the polls in early states, both Iowa and New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, Nikki Haley has now taken a solid second place. And by the way, Ron DeSantis has dropped to like fourth or fifth place in that state. So things are looking horrible for Ron DeSantis. Nikki Haley has all the momentum in the world right now on the Republican side, although she is still obviously trailing Donald Trump by double digits. But that leads me to another question from one of our YouTube viewers. This is from King Anonymous I, who asks, do you think Nikki Haley has a chance of winning the primary with or without Trump? And if not, which candidate from the Republican side has the best chance of beating Trump, including the ones that are not running for president? Honestly, it is Nikki Haley. Like, Nikki Haley has the best chance out of everyone. She has consistently seen her polls either remain the same or go up. Now, when she first announced that she was going to run for president, she had already been involved in the presidential polling, but she got about a 9-point jump. And they did drop a little bit after that, but then they stayed steady. And then once we started having the Republican debates, she started going up. And each debate, she goes up more and more and more. And I'll tell you what really benefited her recently was Tim Scott dropping out of the race. And it's funny, I love it, because I said this was going to be great for Nikki Haley. And that was only, a week and a half ago. But I sat right here for this channel and I told you, Nikki Haley is going to be the primary beneficiary of this. And then a week or so later, it came out that, yeah, Nikki Haley is raking in almost all of Tim Scott's donors. So Nikki Haley now has this huge influx of money. Right as she is watching her poll numbers increase, her campaign announced that they're just going to go scorched earth against Ron DeSantis, possibly even Donald Trump in Iowa and New Hampshire. The question, though, can she overtake Donald Trump? That I don't know. Is she a threat to Donald Trump right now? Hell yeah, she's a threat. I do say, even though she's 30, 40 points behind, she's a threat because she has momentum. And she has more momentum pushing her up than Donald Trump does. So once we hit Iowa and New Hampshire, think of it this way. If Nikki Haley performs and comes in a strong second, we start to see more Republicans drop out, right? Ramaswamy and Chris Christie will probably be the first two to go. The last one to go, we all know, will be Ron DeSantis, but he will be in a point where he's going to be coming in a distant third. Nikki Haley will probably get a lot of the Ramaswamy and Christie votes, so her totals will go up. So what happens at that point? Well, Trump will still be winning these states, right? But Nikki Haley will be right on his heels. So if we get a trial with a conviction of Donald Trump and Nikki Haley is still a strong second place and still in the race, probably the only other Republican still in the race, if we get a Republican frontrunner that is now convicted of felonies, that creates an interesting scenario for the Republican nominating convention. It might, according to the rules the RNC puts forth, free up the electors to not have to vote for a convicted felon, in which case Haley, being the only other viable candidate who overperformed in the primaries, could easily steal the nomination. So even if Trump wins the primaries, there's still an opening for Nikki Haley to be the Republican nominee if she performs based on the polls we're seeing right now. And that is why she is still a pretty big threat to Donald Trump. And if that doesn't end up happening, there's a good chance she gets the VP slot on his ticket. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.